Hello, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. I am super excited to be here. My name is Tito Borht. If you don't know me, I became really popular on LinkedIn because I've been writing about sales development for years and years and years, started in 2015, and have a ton of popular blog posts about SDR to AE handoff, cold calling trainings, a lot of that stuff. You can find me on YouTube. A lot of the content I have there is a little bit old, but incredibly relevant. Everything that I mention in those trainings is still relevant today. And I am especially excited to chat with you guys today because I know you're looking for tactical tips and tricks, things that you can implement as soon as possible. If you are here Eastern time, I believe this is going to be playing at 1:30 for everybody. For everybody in the West Coast, you're going to be earlier in the day. I want to make sure that whatever I mentioned today, you can take all those learnings and implement it as soon as possible this same afternoon. My session is called Driving SEO Success in a Down Market, but truly what I want to help you guys understand is the perspective of the buyer. What happens when we're doing outbound, especially in a down market? Because let's be honest, we've all seen it. If you've been with the same company over the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you would know that, during the pandemic, we had a period of 2, 3, 4 months maybe where there was a lot of quiet inbound while every company was trying to figure out how big the implications were going to be. Then everything skyrocketed out of control. Every company grew like crazy. Everybody went remote. Tons of inbound leads, and now it dried up again. So we're in this cyclical up and down, up and down. We're back in like a down economy, some layoffs in tech, some valuations got crushed, and they're not recovering as quickly as we want them to recover. And there's still uncertainty on credit contraction, Fed, Powell raising rates. We can get into the economy, but you get the idea. We don't know where things are going to go, and therefore not every company is investing heavily in sales development. But how do we win in a down economy? Here's the first place where I want to start, and I am going to share my screen and show you a graph, which I think in today's day and age, it is the most important graph to understand, not only for SDRs, but also for AEs, for marketing, for everybody who is trying to do prospecting. And it is a graph that shows you the buyer journey. Here you go. 3, 2, 1. Can you all see my screen? Beautiful. Here's what you all gotta understand. There is, at any given point, people in this journey. And the end of your journey is to make a purchase, right? As a buyer. But before you make a purchase, you decide. So imagine if you're, as a human, you will also go through this enterprise buying journey for your own personal decision. So if you're looking at buying a house, the last thing you do is buy the house. Between buying the house and making the decision, which is the previous step, there's paperwork to be done. That's how you move from here to here. Before you make the decision, guess what you're doing? You're evaluating options. So between here and here, you're visiting a couple houses, you're understanding which one you like, what meets your criteria. Criteria, you say? Well, guess what you do before you're evaluating options? You're establishing criteria. How many bedrooms, bathrooms, location, closeness to school, to walking distance to places you can go eat, your work, whatever it might be, right? If you have kids, schools nearby, whatever else. Before you establish your criteria, you're figuring out who's going to solve this problem, meaning, is it the husband or the wife, or, is it all the roommates together? However you might think about this process. I can tell you, in my life, like I hate decorating a new apartment. So when I moved into a new apartment, guess who was in charge of decoration? It was not me. It was my girlfriend. She made all the decisions, but we agreed that she would be in charge of it. So you also got to understand that in your enterprise buying process, there might be a person who's in charge of making some decisions. Before that, you got to realize that your current situation sucks. And before that, you're unaware that the situation sucks. Now, as you can see, there's these bubbles or these circles or ovals or whatever you want to call them that help you understand the overlay of where leads are coming from. And what I'm going to help you guys do today is learn how to do cold outbound really, really well and do cold outbound into unaware prospects. Because if you actually try to understand where these prospects lie in this spectrum, obviously the inbound leads have dried up. So is it because like our SEO is sucking? No, truly, if you look at the distribution of where people are in their journey, less companies have budget, less companies are growing aggressively, less companies are looking for new technology, everybody's taking a defensive position. Therefore, the percentage of people that are this far in the buyer journey is less. And therefore, where are all those people going? They're going back a couple of steps. And even though some people might know that they have a problem, or that this current situation sucks, they're not moving forward, right? And there might be a lot of people who are unaware. I use this little graph. A lot of people are familiar with the, awareness, consideration, decision, purchase, and how this flows. This is just an example that we did for one of our clients. We had, I don't know, 7,000 or so target accounts, 6,500. I forget the right exact number, but you can kind of see it here. Here's a bunch of accounts, and what are we seeing? Well, for them, what was happening, and this is, I think, very similar across different companies, 4.1% of accounts had just bought a solution in the past few months. And because they had just bought, they had no interest in continuing to kind of like evaluate new technologies. If you just bought Outreach, why would you start looking at SalesLoft? Makes no sense, right? One step behind buying is making a decision. These are the people who are like actively evaluating, they are taking a bunch of demos and all that. One step behind is they're in consideration. They're the people who are reading blogs, asking their peers, and these processes, these steps happen quite quickly. Then there's 27% of the market, that might be aware that their situation or that their solution is not the best. Again, if we're going to talk Outreach versus SalesLoft, I'm biased. I think Outreach is a much better solution. But imagine you use SalesLoft and then you've been using it for 6 months, and you know that you're not happy with it. You're not yet, considering, you're not yet asking your peers, but you're already unaware, or you're already aware that your solution isn't the best. So when we go outbound, and especially in this downturn economy, there might be even a higher percentage of people who are here. Like you no longer have 1.8 and 0.9% here. This might be 0.4, and this might be like 0.9. So now every 100 accounts you call, maybe one is interested and 99 are not. So how do you have conversations with people who are in this target, living under a rock? These are the people who think they use SalesLoft and they think SalesLoft is totally good and it's the same as Outreach or maybe slightly better, and they haven't seen, let's say my side of the story. And here are all the people that, are whatever, are aware that their solution isn't the best, but the type of conversation you're gonna have is a little bit different. So what I'm gonna do with you guys today is kind of help you understand, how do we approach that cold call, and how do we approach what type of information we're sharing with these prospects? Because you can no longer do the old thing that you were doing before. So when you're going to do outbound into a down market, and you're going to do outbound to people who are unaware they have a problem or they're happy with their solution, you really got to sell the knowledge that you're sharing. You're not selling the problem. You're definitely not selling the solution. You're sharing the information. So because most SDRs here should be familiar with solutions like Outreach and SalesLoft, I'm going to use the Outreach pitch, right? I'm not going to focus too much on the opening line. Different people like different ways. You can find a million of them online. My preferred way to open, depending on your buyer persona, might sound something like, ring, ring, hello. Imagine it's John saying hello. He says, hello. I always assume it's the prospect, and I say, hey, John, this is Tito. I lead partnerships here at AltiSales. I was just hoping to speak with you briefly. Do you have just 2 minutes for me? A note from the intonation, right? Ideally, he says yes. Now, when he says yes or sure or what do you have or what's AltiSales, where are you calling from, whatever else, what I want to do is move into my elevator pitch. Now, when it's an inbound lead, it's very easy to do that, right? Hey, John, I saw you sent a contact us form on our website. I was just reaching out, make sure we got in touch and schedule something on the calendar. I also had a couple of questions to ask you, make sure that what we're going to be sharing is relevant for you, blah, 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 blah. Do you mind if I ask you 3 questions, right? That is the inbound way. Maybe the old way to pitch it is very product focused. This is in an upward economy, right? Everybody's winning, everybody's trying to improve. You might say something like, hey, John, AltiSales is recognized as one of the best sales development, outsourcing, and consulting companies out there. And I'd love to show you kind of some of the methodologies and techniques and tactics that we can deploy for your team to help your SDRs be more effective, and increase their performance, right? I'm explaining what I do and how I can help them, right? And I might even say, I see you have 8 SDRs and 1 SDR manager as part of the company, and I see you have two, open roles for it because I bumped into your LinkedIn profile. That is like a very product oriented, right? Other people, right? Again, I don't think that's the right way to do it right now. The next thing that people have been trying is a problem oriented, right? Where we try to say things such as like, hey, John, I'm with AltiSales, and hey, I talked to a lot of sales development leaders, and a lot of them are running into one of 3 problems. They're either trying to increase efficiency, or they're trying to do X, or they're trying to do Y, right? And when you start talking problems, where people immediately go in their mind is, oh, damn, this is a sales pitch. How much is it going to cost me to fix this? Or how much is it going to cost me to improve this? And their mind immediately goes to like, hey, right now I have no budget. So even though they might be familiar with the problem, they'll be like, we either help SDRs improve cold calling, or we help SDRs improve their data or messaging, or we help SDRs, whatever, get more meetings per month. They'll be like, yeah, dude, thanks for the call. Unfortunately, we have no budget, or, at this point, we're not buying. So a lot of the techniques and tactics that have been taught to SDRs aren't working. What is working? Grab your pen, grab your paper, start taking notes. Here's what we're going to say. We're going to sell knowledge and information. And again, we specialize in SDRs, so you're going to hear the pitch right now. So make sure you take notes. But I'm going to also show you how this works for any type of product. So hello, this is John. Hey, John, Tito. I'm the director of partnerships or marketing at AltiSales. Do you have 2 minutes to chat? Sure. Thanks, I'll be brief. The reason I'm calling you is because we're running some informational sessions on the best practices that companies have adopted in 2023 in order to make their SDRs more effective. We're sharing really cool things like how cold calling funnels work, email sentiment metrics, enablement processes, and how to retain your SDRs better, especially now that we really want to maximize the efficiency, and we want to make sure that we get as long tenure as possible. I was just curious, and then we want to ask a question about their situation, right? So one question I like asking is a 1 to 10 question. So you could say something, hey, I was just curious, on a scale from 1 to 10, a lot of people are trying to drive efficiency, but how efficient would you say your SDR team is today? As you can see, I am not talking about problems. I am not talking about the solutions I can bring. I'm saying we're sharing best practices, or we're sharing industry trends, which positions me as a consultant. And the second thing I ask is a situation question, which should be either on a scale from 1 to 10, where are you? Or how are you currently doing X, Y, or Z, right? If I'm pitching efficiency, it's hard to say how are you currently making your SDRs efficient. However, if I'm pitching, let's say, a talent acquisition solution, I might say, how are you currently streamlining your processes for talent acquisition in order to hire candidates faster, right? Or anything like that. Once they respond to that question, I can just compare their current situation with the best practices in the market without mentioning my tool. So imagine they say, yeah, I'm a 10. I'm incredible, right? What I can react with is like, oh, that's amazing. Like companies that I talk to that say that they're a 10, what they are currently doing is cold calling funnels, email sentiment metrics, and whatever, like feedback loops for or AE surveys after every meeting. Have you deployed cold calling funnels? And if so, what are some of the what are some of your conversion ratios within the cold calling funnel, right? And what you will get more often than not is, I believe, maybe 3% of organizations have deployed cold calling funnels. So if they have, they'll let you know. They'll be like, yeah, our cold calling funnels, actually, we have a call to connect ratio of like 4.72%, connect to conversation at whatever, 89%, conversation to close at 43%, whatever it might be, right? And if that's the case, you've had a really kind of like, you actually found somebody who's really good. But most of the time, the people, even if they claim that they're a 9 or 10, they'll be like, well, yeah, we haven't done that part, because truly the majority of the market hasn't done it. So again, if we take a step back and I try to summarize what I was trying to share with you guys today is a little bit about this idea, right, of the buyer's journey. When somebody comes inbound, you can talk a lot about your solution because they already have a pain or an opportunity, something that they're trying to fix, right? If you take a step back and you want to call warm outbound or the old cold, but when it's a booming economy, you can talk a little bit about like, hey, a lot of the prospects that I talk to say that they either suffer A, B, or C in terms of pain points or problems. That's still going to work because these people are trying to grow and they're running into pain points a lot. Right now, most of these employees and companies are trying to just keep their jobs and sustain and do good enough jobs so they don't get let go. So what you want to talk about is, hey, on a scale from 1 to 10, how are things working? Or how are you currently doing X? Which means they don't yet have a problem. That resonates the most with these buyers, right? And when they say, oh yeah, no, things are fine, aka I don't have a problem, what you want to do is say, we're going to share some of the best practices. You should come. Now, it is important to know that this isn't just an SDR mindset shift. Yes, this is going to get you a lot more meetings, and you should put some effort into making sure that these meetings are with your right target accounts and right buyer personas. But the key of all the things that I'm sharing today is to also collaborate and coordinate with your head of sales. Unless sales and sales development are aligned, that we are okay and we're actually excited about meetings that are very, very early stage in the buying process, we need to take those very early deals and help them slowly marinate in the best practices. Once they marinate in the best practices, they will eventually come back and buy. We're not trying to accelerate our sales cycle as much as possible. We're trying to create opportunities where opportunities don't exist. We're no longer trying to do demand capture or trying to figure out who needs the product that we have because there's so much demand out in the market. We're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to say, who doesn't believe that they need what we have, but actually needs what we have? And how can we go have that conversation with the people who are 2, 3, 4, 5 steps behind, and we can start putting them in lemon and lime and helping them marinate in the problem, marinate in the best practices, and slowly but surely they'll get cooked up into the next phase. So that's what I want you guys to do today. I will keep my session super short, exciting, and to the point. Hopefully you guys find a ton of value in this. Go ahead, spend the next few minutes practicing, and go ahead and enjoy the next session. Thanks for joining my quick tips, and have a great one. Cheers.